We've worked together before, Alan and I, back in the day. He wouldn't recognise me now.
HelpLink, the Boiler People, proud sponsors of the Alan Titchmarch Show.
Welcome back. Still to come, if you have a business plan, she's your lady, interior designer to the stars. Kelly Hopkins here. Plus, it's not just life-size houses that need the Midas touch. Dolls' houses have interior designers too, and I'll be meeting one later. But first, many of us nowadays can't seem to eat a slice of bread without being blighted by bloating. While food intolerance is common in the UK, allergies also wreak havoc on many of our lives. But what's the difference between intolerance and an allergy? And what can be done to ease the effects when an attack occurs? Here with all the answers, Dr. Anita and dietitian Lucy Jones. Welcome back. Now, let's clear up the difference, Anita, between an allergy and an intolerance.
An astonishing 45% of us in the UK think we are allergic to basic foods such as dairy products or wheat. But allergy specialists will tell you that only about 2% of the population have a food allergy. The rest of those are likely to have something completely different, which is called food intolerance. So to try and understand what the difference is, when you have a food allergy, your body sees that food as an attack on the body, and it launches an immune response. It produces antibodies to try and get rid of that food. When that happens, you get lots of inflammation in the body, and you can get a spectrum of symptoms, mild symptoms like tingling around the mouth, itchy rash, to severe symptoms, life-threatening anaphylaxis, where you find it difficult to breathe, your face and tongue swell, you can collapse and even die. So there's a big spectrum between the two. Food intolerance is something completely different. It's basically where the body finds it difficult to digest certain foods. The immune system isn't involved, there is no life-threatening symptoms. Generally, symptoms are quite vague. They can be anything from diarrhoea, flatulence, bloating, aches and pains, migraines,
and
eczema.
a lot dependent on your own fitness and what time of day you eat that large meal.
Exactly. So we know people who are intolerant are more like to people that eat lots of the same foods, they eat in a hurry, they have very stressful lifestyles. They often are the triggers to food intolerance. We can actually test for a few things like lactose intolerance we can do a breath test for, and wheat intolerance we can do a blood test for. But other things, we actually need to look at clinical symptoms.
That's great news, at least for all those people who've been suffering from peanut intolerance, which seems to be widespread, that there's been a breakthrough made here.
Hot off the press, breakthrough, British scientists have found a way of trying to trick the immune systems in children by slowly introducing peanuts. So these children with peanut allergies have had tiny amounts of peanuts, gradually increased over a short period of time. At the end of the study, 84% of the children were able to tolerate up to 5 peanuts. So although this isn't a natural treatment right now, it's a clue, it gives us...
to the way forward.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Lucy, the commonest of allergies and or intolerances, with your lumps of food here, your props.
Yeah, so dietitians do a lot of food allergy and intolerance, and actually when we're looking at food allergy specifically, the same ones come up over and over again. It's milk, soya, eggs, citrus fruit, sesame, so in things like hummus, fish and seafood, and nuts, particularly peanuts. We know a lot of children are allergic to peanuts.
Now, do people generally find out the hard way which of these they are? They know if they're allergic to something, they know, because they have it, and it's an instant, well, pretty instant reaction.
We do find allergies are much easier to diagnose. The trouble is with intolerances is you can often have lots of them at the same time, and it could be as simple as little chemicals or preservatives that are across the board, and the only thing we can really do is get somebody to keep a food and symptom diary for 2 weeks, and then you need an expert, as in a GP or a dietitian,
to read it,
and to try and work out. And we then do an elimination diet for a couple of weeks, see if your symptoms get better, and then the really important bit that everybody forgets is you have to add it back in to see if you get the symptom back, because otherwise it could have been coincidence.
Yeah. That's with intolerance. With allergy, it's different. There's no cure. We actually, once we've established an allergy, the safest thing is to avoid that food forever, pretty much, because there are potential life-threatening effects of allergy.
So allergies can be life-threatening, as we know from peanuts.
Peanut allergy is one that most people are familiar with, but any food potentially that you are allergic to could actually be life-threatening.
But intolerances are not life-threatening, they're just uncomfortable.
Yes, they cause misery for people on a daily basis, but they're not life-threatening. And with allergy and intolerance, it can change over your lifespan. So we often say people need to be retested in the future, because what we don't want people to do is to restrict their diet more than's necessary.
Let's just ask anybody... Kelly, any allergies, intolerances?
I have a gluten allergy. I haven't eaten gluten for 27 years. And I swell up like a balloon if I eat it.
Alfie?
I have this... Wheat seems to affect me quite a lot, you know, but so I limit myself to eating pizzas, pasta, pastries.
Fine.
Beer, you know.
So as far as you're concerned, Paul Hollywood's a no-go area. Yeah, fine, OK. Well, someone who's becoming increasingly intolerant to fruit and is desperately seeking dietary advice is viewer Felicity Anand. Felicity. Dr. now. So, Felicity, tell us what your problem is.
Well, I'm allergic to certain fruits, nuts and milk. However, if they're in a dessert or a cake, I can eat them.
So if they're cooked, Felicity can eat them, and if they're not, she's allergic to them. Why is that?
That's actually quite common. The chemical structure seems to change, and when something's really cooked, they can often take it. Egg is a very common one. That if it's cooked in a cake, people are fine, and actually if they have it scrambled or soft-boiled, they can get an allergic reaction. So we do see that a lot. And when you have milk, again, what you could have is a lactose intolerance rather than milk allergy. So if it's in small amounts in products, you're OK. If you were to have a glass of milk, you'd get symptoms.
So your symptoms are what when you eat these fruits uncooked?
I get itchiness in my mouth, sore lips, and I feel quite nauseous.
So we're talking here allergy.
So do you remember I said there was a spectrum of symptoms? This would fit with mild allergy. But there's quite a lot of food types that you've mentioned there. So when somebody first comes to a GP and says, I think I'm allergic to milk and citrus fruits, we would get them to do a 2-week food diary to write down exactly everything they're eating and drinking, symptoms they get, and timing after the ingestion. Because food allergy normally comes on quite quickly. Intolerance can take up to 48 hours to appear. So that can really give us clues. Then once I've seen that, I would then refer on to an expert like Lucy, the dietitian, who would then be able to give practical advice about food avoidance and things that
So it's pretty
eliminate.
instant with you, Felicity, then? You get this sort of fizzing, buzzing feeling in your mouth quite quickly after
Straight
eating
away,
food.
yeah.
Yeah, straight away.
That does sound more like an allergy.
An allergy. So what would your advice be, Lucy, then?
Well, as we know, if you've got an allergy, it's complete avoidance. It's not much fun.
Yeah.
So that's where you need practical advice and support from a dietitian.
Is it all fruit? Or just certain?
No, just certain fruits. I can eat bananas and oranges, but stuff like kiwis and strawberries.
Eat bananas and oranges.
There's a chemical called histamine that's in a lot of those fruits, like strawberries, that means that people are more allergic to those than perhaps the other fruits you mentioned.
Any supplements,
Antihistamine-
vitamins?
Antihistamines, which you can buy over the counter.
Yeah.
Somebody with mild allergy, like you seem to have, over-the-counter antihistamines you just take when you feel those symptoms coming on, and that will hopefully kind of settle down the symptoms.
What about, this is going off piece slightly, but vitamins we hear lots about. Some people rattle they take so many vitamin tablets a day. Generally a good thing or not?
For most of the population, you shouldn't need vitamins. They're actually really useful with certain groups, perhaps elderly people with restricted diets or pregnant women, for example.
Why are you pointing at me when you say pregnant woman? My waistcoat is... It's absolutely untrue.
It was a gesture. If you have a healthy, balanced diet, you shouldn't really need vitamins.
Wonderful. Yeah. Well, we hope has that been of any help?
Extremely helpful.
Don't eat what gives you an allergic reaction, I suppose, really. Steer your way through the woods. And as always, our doctors are on hand to answer any of your medical worries. Email alan@itv.com or visit our Facebook page. For now, my thanks to Felicity for coming in and, of course, Lucy and Dr. Anita. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, this guest began her career at the age of 16 when she designed her first kitchen. Since then, she's become known for her clean-line, zen-like interiors that haven't only earned her an A-list following, but also an MBE. She might not be turning homes into a work of art in her current role, but she's certainly making her mark in the den.
It's getting sadder by the minute, to me, honestly. If somebody proposed to me with a fake ring, I would hate that.
The litmus test for whether a business can become a Kelly Hoppen investment is as straightforward as she is.
You've got a lot of sugar in here, and I'm really anti-sugar. I don't know what the world's coming to. I mean, this is the most ridiculous idea. You've created something for lazy adults, nothing else. To have something like that in my garden is an eyesore. I mean, I look at it and I sort of lose the will to live.
Please welcome Kelly Hoppen, MBE. Oh, dear. So, we know from that what you're not looking for. What are you looking for, then, Kelly, in a successful
Yeah, I mean,
pitch?
it's a bit mean because they're showing just awful things that I say, and each pitch is about an hour long, an hour and a half, so you hear so much. But for me, it's the person initially, because you want someone who's passionate, who's focused, who's excited about the product that they've got, because you have to make a split decision about a business deal, which normally you would take weeks over. And then, of course, it's the product. But, you know, I run a big business, so I need somebody that I can help build a business, but is actually going to go out and really do it. And I have to say, the people I've invested so far, I'm so happy with, because they're real goers and getters,
So what have been the most successful ones?
Well, one of them is a fake tan, which is organic, which has done phenomenally well. 2 mums who are just so passionate about it, and it's a great product. And another one is an item that fixes water-damaged phones. A guy of 20 years old walked in. I just fell in love with this young boy, and I just went, you've got it. Everyone, after we came off air, went, Kelly, whatever this guy does, he's going to succeed. And I am passionate about helping young people build... That's sort of why I'm doing it.
In an instance like that, where he's found a way of curing mobile phones that have drowned, aren't some of these mobile phone makers going to buy him out and stop him from doing it, so everybody has to buy a new one?
Well, hopefully they will buy him out, and we'll all get very rich from it. But, you know, the thing is, you've got to remember, when someone's pitching to me in the den, I can't try it out. I'm taking their word for it. So, and there have been many things when I look back at it now, because I only see the shows when everyone else sees them, that I think I should have invested in. So I think when I start filming again in March, I'm going to do a lot more, because you're always waiting, maybe there's something better, or should I, shouldn't I? And then one of the other dragons will try and put you off, and then, you know, there's a lot of gameplay.
There's that gamesmanship going on as well. Well, I know sometimes it's not all hard work, and it's not all humourless, because sometimes, just watch this, Kelly loses ears.
So what is this actually doing now to my skin?
The red colour is useful for cell regeneration. It also stimulates collagen and elastin within the skin. It can get rid of fine lines and wrinkles.
What's so funny?
Now, the blue light is used basically to kill bacteria on the skin, so it is used as a treatment against acne.
I feel like a traffic light.
I think you and Deborah Mead are completely lost it.
Oh, my God. You know what was so funny was that we actually laughed for a good 25 minutes. I slid off my chair. It was my first week of filming, and I didn't know whether I was allowed to laugh or whether I had to be serious. Duncan continued to ask serious questions. Deborah then lost it, because you know how it becomes very kind of contagious.
Catching,
And then Peter, when he'd finished, said, I don't like being laughed at. I said, give me the helmet, I'll put it on. And then he couldn't stop laughing. So I don't know what it was. It just, I lost it. I literally physically couldn't stop laughing. It was brilliant.
Meanwhile, the day job continues.
The day job
continues,
continues,
interior design. Has your style changed over the years?
No, I mean, I think with any good design, you kind of put your sort of philosophy in the ground from day one, and it's like a mind map, it grows. But really, my philosophy has always stayed the same. But, I mean, I design pretty much every day if I'm not travelling or filming, and it's still a huge passion for me, and I love it.
But does your taste change? Do you like less some of the things you were passionate about early on? Because if you were just designing the same, it would get rather repetitive.
I never design the same, and I think the brand of Kelly Hoppen is what people know, but I do a lot of traditional homes and quite a lot, and I do use colour, believe it or not. But I think, no, you change, and I think all design is sort of 360 degrees. Sometimes I go back to something I've done before and then create it with a twist, and, you know, I'm constantly creating.
Commonest mistakes by those of us who do it ourselves and do it at home? Commonest interior design mistakes?
Rushing.
Too fast?
Yeah, rushing and not planning, because I am the client from hell. I'm doing up a new home now, and I am the client from hell because I constantly change my mind. And if I didn't know that you have to put your boards out, lay things out, come back to them, look at them, check them, you know, you've got to try and use your imagination to know how you want to live in a place. Because I think people look at magazines and books and go, I want that. It would be if you were going out and buying clothes, you wouldn't just buy something over the phone and imagine you would look like Kate Moss. You'd try it on.
Yeah.
So you need to try on your homes and take time doing it. And I think people will then actually not make as many mistakes. And, you know, there's no rush, you know?
Yeah, stay in it, be in it, and do it where you are. Brilliant advice. If you want to see if Kelly's in or out, tune into Dragon's Den on BBC One Sunday, 9 p.m. And Kelly will be staying with me, because after the break, we'll be meeting a doll's house interior designer who says everything you do big, you can also do small. You have to see this. plus a very special performance from tenor extraordinaire Alfie Boe. We'll be back after this short break.
Alan!
You idiot. HelpLink, the Boiler People, proud sponsors of the Alan Titchmarch Show.